My name is Gadgil, and I am a Maharashtrian and proud of it. Well, listening to Minister Shakila, a kind of funny story comes to mind, and that is when you travel to a small island outside in the Atlantic Ocean called Jan Mayen, a Norwegian island, you are faced with a plaque, a bronze plaque, and on it says, "Theory is when you understand everything, but nothing works. Practice is when everything works, but nobody understands why. At this station, we combine theory and practice, so nothing works and nobody understands why." Well, the fact of the matter is that this climate agenda is really a victory for theory. The fact that Dr. Pachauri and his panel managed to bring a scientific methodology into the center of global political debate is clearly a victory of theory. But there is a huge distance between theory and practice, and this is what the minister just really pointed to. Maybe not in the same words, but this is the issue. And we meet again in another summit. You rightly point that out. I think this summit is special, though. I think this is a summit of very committed people to find that link between theory and practice, and I'm hopeful for what comes out of it. There are, of course, countries and individuals who do a lot to bridge practice and theory. This country in particular, I think, have rolled out several new plans on energy access and on renewable energy, which are laudable, and I think bodes well for the future in a country which is very energy deficient. 400 million people have lacked the access to energy. I was here in October last year at the Access to Energy conference, and it was very heartening to see how many entrepreneurs, both politically and in the business, were ready to take on the challenge. The question that is posed for this session is important. It's also very wide, but you're right, Mr. Chairman, that these are the critical questions of water and food security. Let me just try to lift the abstraction level a little bit more to begin with. And that is to say, we don't only need good governance, at least not in the sense that good governance has been interpreted over the last 20 years in development theory. We need fair governance. And these two things link together very well when you talk about climate change. If you look at how the world is developing right now, the biggest megatrend that we can see is rising inequality within countries. And this is a serious threat to societies. It erodes trust between people. I normally say that that inequality is a poison to society, and the snakes that carry this poison have names, and that's exclusion, secrecy, and moral decay. And we are witnessing this at a large scale all over the world today. And how is that connected to the issue at hand today? Well, I am from the young, growing global middle class. I am as far from nature as any cohort of the population in the world ever has been. I am a consumer of nature. Those who tend to nature are far away from me. The distance between those who tend and feel the consequences of nature changing and decision makers are widening by the hour. This is a fundamental problem. This is why I think good governance in itself will never be enough. You need fair governance, because that is the only way to bridge theory and practice. Because with fair governance, you fight myopia, short-sightedness of politicians, inability to plan in the long run, and the ability to fall for temptation and run to quick payoffs to win elections. If you have fair governance and manage to join the whole populace in a real constructive debate on the same basis, then myopia will disappear. Good governance is not enough. Fair governance is needed. Let me just add quickly, because this session also asked the question of best practice. Norway is very engaged in all sorts of managing natural resources. Let me mention a few. Fisheries, for example. I mean, we had a project where we wanted to help or assist nations in taking care of their fisheries. In Namibia now has the 8th best managed fishery resources in the world. Norway and Namibia has been working closely on that, and I think that's a real success and best practice story. Look it up. It's worth a look. Second, energy. We have a program called Energy Plus that I think many of you are engaged in, The point with that program is to have a sector-wide approach where we assist countries in planning for their energy needs and development. Third, we have a program called Oil for Development, which is our flagship in our development policy. This program assists countries that have found big oil and petroleum resources in finding ways of managing them to avoid the resource curse, and it's proving quite efficient at that. And lastly, and let me just say this because I love the name of the program, it's called Tax for Development. A name that wouldn't be possible 20 years ago. But now that the neoliberalist economic policies have played out to be a real disaster, we can finally start to talk about tax in development policy again, and this speaks to fair governance. We're working with governments to improve their tax policy to ensure redistribution of income. So let me end there with another plea: fair governance at the same time as good governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much.